My relationship with Nikki Sixx is a solid, good friendship, and we have great communication between each other. I love Bret Michaels and he loves me. After 3 weeks of talking back and forth, he said he was falling in love with me.
I've covered a lot of rock imposter stories on my channel, but it's rare that two members of the same band are impersonated by different people, in some cases 3 different people. That's what happened to the glam metal band Poison. One imposter seemed to slip under a lot of people's radars, while the other one was a subject of a nationally syndicated TV show. In today's video, let's explore what happened. Poison would form in 1983, but rather than the members coming together in Los Angeles, they would form on the East Coast in Pennsylvania, and wanting to hit it big, they opted to move across the country to LA. They would release their first record in 1986, and over the course of the next 8 years, they would put out an additional 3 albums and go on to sell over 60 million records worldwide. They would soon become one of the most popular glam bands to emerge out of the 80s. While Poison had its share of turmoil with lawsuits and lineup changes and near-death experiences, they never officially broke up. Fast forward to 2008, and drummer Rikki Rockett would find himself in handcuffs at LAX airport while he was disembarking a flight from New Zealand. He would be arrested as he was going through customs, and the 46-year-old drummer would be arrested on outstanding rape charges that dated back to September of 2007, when a Mississippi woman claimed that he forced himself on her. These charges in Mississippi could have carried a life sentence. The drummer would be booked, fingerprinted, and photographed at Los Angeles County Jail. Rockett would end up issuing a statement following his arrest that read, "I was exhausted from a 14-hour flight and then was hauled off to jail. The worst part was having to walk past my fiancée in handcuffs. When I was finally told what I was arrested for, I almost passed out." It would turn out that the charges against Rockett were dropped after the drummer was able to provide an alibi and evidence that he was not in Mississippi at the time of the alleged crime taking place. Rockett, at the time of the alleged crime, was actually back home in Los Angeles watching his fiancée try on wedding dresses. It would turn out that someone in Mississippi was impersonating Rockett, trying to get women to sleep with him. The warrant that had been issued for Rockett contained the name John Minskoff, but Rockett's real name is Richard Allen Ream, and the musician never went by the name John Minskoff. Rockett would also take aim at the press in a statement, as well as his detractors, who had a field day with the whole thing, slamming them for not simply Googling the name John Minskoff. It was following the charges being dropped, Rockett would have what was called an exoneration party, where money would be raised and donated to organizations who provided legal defense for people who have been falsely imprisoned. Rockett would be interviewed by TMZ and revealed that the imposter had used other rock stars' names, including David Lee Roth and his own bandmate frontman Bret Michaels. He would also reveal to TMZ that the imposter had kidnapped a 15-year-old girl at one point, telling her that he was taking her to model for the band Whitesnake. It also seemed that Minskoff and his wife may have made the whole thing up as a ploy to extort money from the drummer and his band Poison, as Rockett would also issue a statement that included the following: "I think it was a case where the woman and her husband unfortunately believed that they could extort money from me and my band." Let's talk about our second Poison imposter story. So this story dates back to 2021 and involves Poison and a Motley Crue fan named Tina. But she wasn't just any fan. She believed that she was actually friends with Motley Crue bassist Nikki Sixx and engaged to Poison frontman Bret Michaels. The story would start with the rockstars allegedly reaching out to her on Instagram. Tina would appear on the Dr. Phil show to tell her story. She did admit to Dr. Phil that she initially questioned whether it was real or not. She would admit that any doubts she had were pushed to the side after the imposters sent her what appeared to be the driver's licenses for both Nikki Sixx and Bret Michaels. Tina would reveal to Dr. Phil that her daughter and herself did a reverse image search online to see if the photos on the licenses had been used in scams before, and they appeared to be clean. For Tina, it legitimized that she was actually talking to the real rock stars. Her friend Vivian, however, thought that there were some mistakes on the driver's licenses, but Tina didn't agree. On top of that, Vivian found it strange that none of the so-called rock stars would ever send her flowers or gifts, or flew her out to their shows, let alone even talk to her on the phone or video chatted. Everything would be done over text. Tina claimed that she texted with Nikki Sixx every day for almost 6 months. As to why she didn't talk on video chat or meet the rock stars in person, she would tell Dr. Phil that both rock stars were heavily controlled by their management teams, and that their phone cameras weren't working. Things took even a stranger turn when Tina would tell Dr. Phil that soon enough Michaels and Sixx were fighting over her. The story took an even crazier turn when Tina admitted that she was talking to up to 3 people pretending to be Bret Michaels. She would still insist that one of them was the real Bret. Here's some snippets of her appearing on the Dr. Phil show.
It is very frustrating knowing that you are talking to the real Bret and then you have fake Brets trying to contact you. After 3 weeks of talking back and forth, he said he was falling in love with me. Several months ago, we were talking and he had us take the oath over the Bible that we would be devoted to each other. After we took the oath, he proposed to me and I said yes.
As you can probably imagine, she was a victim of catfishing. For those who aren't familiar with the term, it's when people impersonate someone online, usually celebrities, to get people to send them money or their personal information. Tina would admit to Dr. Phil that she sent money to both Bret Michaels and the Nikki Sixx imposter, and she would even appear on the program with one of her friends who knew that she was being scammed the whole time. Dr. Phil, for his part, would poke holes in Tina's so-called relationship with the rockstars, with even the real Nikki Sixx and Bret Michaels appearing on the program. Nikki Sixx would appear via video chat with his wife, telling Dr. Phil and Tina, "The first time I heard about this was when we talked about it. We wanted to come on together and let you know that whoever you're talking to is not me, and I'm sorry that this is happening to you. Watching the show and how Dr. Phil is trying to break it all down for you, it's heartbreaking for us. It's not fun, it's cruel, and you seem like a very nice person." With the pandemic going on at this time and a lot of live shows being cancelled, Sixx promised to invite Tina to a meet and greet when Motley Crue's planned stadium tour with Poison and Def Leppard was scheduled to resume. Poison frontman Bret Michaels wouldn't appear live on the show, instead sending a video message. In his video message, he would warn Tina about imposters, adding, "These imposters who are going after innocent people like Tina, who's on your show right now, and other people, they will not stop during this pandemic. People are vulnerable. I feel like people right now are isolated, and that is the perfect time for these scumbags, scammers, con artists, and imposters to come after innocent people." This wouldn't be the first time, however, that Michaels had to speak out against people impersonating him, saying in a statement released a few weeks earlier, "To all my family, friends, and fans, please be aware of the epidemic going on during this pandemic. It's unbelievable the amount of Bret Michaels imposters out there reaching out to my amazing fans, friends, and family and trying to scam them." By the end of her appearance, Tina would tell Dr. Phil, and I quote, "I was scammed, and I admit it." That concludes today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have suggestions for future topics, use the link in the description box below. And we'll see you again in Rock and Roll Stories.